Namaste everybody, welcome to YogaCandi. My name's Candice and today I have an all levels class, which is a great thing to do in the morning, but you can do it any time of day, and it's going to be some wonderful stretches just to help your body feel less painful. Maybe you've woken up stiff, or maybe you feel stiff after a workout. It's just going to be a great class for that. So the props I recommend is a couple of yoga blocks if you have them handy. If you don't worry. Maybe use a rolled up towel or something like that. Okay, let's hop straight into it. We're going to start off in a butterfly pose. So bring the soles of your feet together and your knees fall wide. If you're a beginner, you may find that you cannot sit up straight. So then I recommend putting your hands behind your spine and pressing your chest and hips forward, but keeping your knees as open as you can, as long as you can feel a stretch. If you're a little more flexible, you can come on forward, place your elbows onto your block just like this, and if you're more intermediate, come all the way down to the ground. So wherever you are, let's all breathe deep together, in and out of the nostrils. Taking 5 deep breaths. If it's feeling good, see if you can get a little deeper, keep the back straight, and another 5 deep breaths. And then come on up. We're going to extend this right leg out to the side. Keep the left foot where it is. And if you're more of a beginner, you may find just resting your elbow onto your I can't even think of the names today, onto your quad might be just enough, and pressing that left knee open. If you're a little more flexible, perhaps you can bring this forearm down to the ground and just open the chest towards the sky as best you can. If you'd like to go further, bring this arm up and over your ear and feel that stretch through the hamstring and into the groin. Make sure there's no pain, okay? You can always rest your head into your palm. You should feel that stretch, but not pain. If you feel pain, ease up a little bit, maybe even take your elbow off of the ground and reach your chest towards the sky. Taking a side body stretch as well as the leg, hitting 2 birds with 1 stone here. Keep your breath deep. If you're more intermediate, you may just be able to touch these right toes and come all the way into this pose. If not, stay where you are for another 5 breaths. And wherever you are, slowly come out of the pose, taking it over to the other side. Right foot comes up towards your hip. Left leg extends out to the side. You can stay up on the hand, maybe look towards the sky and draw your chest to the sky. Or you can just rest this elbow onto your quad, or maybe taking that forearm to the ground, twisting the chest to the sky. 5 breaths. If you're more intermediate, maybe you can touch those toes with your right hand and continue to breathe. 5 more breaths, everybody. Okay, slowly come on out. Open your legs into a straddle. The further apart your legs are, the harder this will be, so you can always draw them a little closer together. Again, just like our butterfly pose, you can just sit up tall through the spine if that's already enough of a stretch inside the legs for you. If you want to go a little deeper and you have the flexibility, you can take your block in front of you on the highest level and breathe here. Try to keep your legs straight. If you can't, you can always add a micro bend, but try to keep your toes facing the sky in this pose. If you want to, you can go on the lowest level, and if you're more intermediate, come all the way down to the forearms, maybe even all the way to the head. Wherever we are, we're going to take 10 deep breaths. And if you feel the need to go deeper, you can. So be where you are today. You can also rest your forehead onto a block if you can bring your forearms to the ground. Okay, come on up. We're going to just take this left leg to join the right, and we're going to take a forward fold, a seated forward fold. Again, you can always just stay seated up tall in a staff pose, and perhaps try to keep your back straight, send your chest a little forward. Maybe you can just lean forward, maybe that's enough. Or perhaps you can come on down over the legs. You can always roll something and place it underneath your legs. It doesn't need to be as high as this. Perhaps a little lower if you need your legs to be bent. The main thing you want is for your back to be nice and straight in your forward fold. So rather than hunching like this, we want to keep it straight. Rather straight than hunching. So the stretch is coming from the hamstrings. If you're more intermediate, you may just come all the way down and interlace the fingertips behind your toes, or perhaps even use a block to get yourself a little deeper. Wherever you are, let's take our 10 breaths. Okay, release your block if you have it. Bend your left leg and your right. Come into a kneeling position and step your right leg back. We're going to come into a low lunge. So the closer the back knee is to the front heel, the easier the pose will be. So if you're more like this and you're still getting a stretch, then wonderful, stay there. You can use your blocks either side of your legs to help you in the pose. Squeeze your right glute and send your hips forward. This is going to be stretching out your psoas muscle, really getting into that lower back as well. The psoas is connected, so it can help with a bit of back pain. We want to make sure that our hips are aligned, so both your hip bones should be sort of in line with each other, facing forwards. You can always place your hands either side of this left foot and just sink a little lower. Close your eyes and take 5 deep breaths here. Beginners, if it's feeling good, stay where you are. Or you can lift this right leg and draw it towards your glutes, sending your hips forward as you do this, almost kicking into this left hand. This will be stretching the quad a little more. Let's take 5 deep breaths. Okay, release that foot. Let's send it into a downward facing dog. Just taking a stretch here in your down dog. Now step this the right leg forward in between your palms for your low lunge. So we're going to drop the left knee down. I don't know my left from my right this morning. And sink the hips. Remember, the closer the back knee is to the front foot, the easier it will be. You can always use your blocks to keep you in position if that's a little more comfortable. And if it helps you get into the pose and enjoy it, then stay here. If you're a little more intermediate, you might want to bring your fingertips either side of your toes and just sink your hips a little lower. Keep your hips squared with each other, both facing forwards. In other words, don't let this hip be open. Keep it forward. Squeeze that left glute. 5 breaths. Okay, if you're intermediate, lift that back leg, the back foot, and draw it towards your bum. If you're happy where you are, stay where you are. Don't force the body into any pose. 5 more breaths. Okay, plant your hands if they're not already and step back into your downward facing dog once again. Lower your knees nice and slowly to the mat. Keep your legs hip distance apart and extend your toes out behind you. You're going to take your hands to grip onto your heels. You can always tuck the toes if you find this easier. Draw that crown of your head to the ground, close to your knees, and open up through the shoulders, pushing your bum and spine up towards the sky. Make sure there's no pressure on the skull. You're just very lightly touching the ground. This is your rabbit pose. Two more breaths. And slowly, slowly roll out of that pose. Okay, we're going to come on to our bums, taking our feet hip distance, coming down to the spine. We're going to take a bridge pose, a supported bridge pose, so that we can hold it for our 10 breaths. So make sure you can just about touch the heels with your arms, with your fingertips. Have your prop handy, your block. Inhale, raise your hips all the way to the sky. If you can, place a block on the highest level, or you can do the lowest level if that's better for your spine, onto the hard part of your lower spine, the sacrum, which is the part just above your tailbone. So not on your lower spine, but on that hard bit between your hip bones. Still continue to squeeze your glutes even with the support. Gently hug your belly button back. Rest your arms or interlace them together and squeeze your shoulder blades together behind you. 5 deep breaths in this gentle back bend. Okay, beginners, stay here for another 5 breaths. If you're more intermediate, remove the block and lift your hips a little higher. Keep the engagement, knees still draw towards each other, hip distance, and hold for your 5 breaths without support. Now everybody release the blocks away from your body and your hands, and slowly, vertebrae by vertebrae, roll your spine to the ground. Just hug your knees up towards your chest for a moment. And we're going to take the last pose of the day, a spinal twist on each side. So we're going to wrap our right leg over the left either once or twice in eagle legs. Send your tailbone slightly to the right. Open up through the arms so they're a capital T and the hands are in line with each other. Draw your knees to the left. Take your gaze to the right. And try to keep this right shoulder down towards the ground as best you can in your twist. Twisting from the mid to upper spine. Close your eyes and breathe. Okay, slowly draw your knees to center. Let's wrap this left leg on top of the right either once or twice in eagle legs. Send your hips slightly to the left. Drop your knees to the right. Take your gaze to the left. Keep those arms nice and open and try to draw this left shoulder blade to the ground. Close your eyes and breathe deep. Okay, draw your knees back to center, unwrap them, hug your knees up to your chest just for a moment. And then find a little roll through the spine. So just find a rock rolling up and back. And then cross your legs, come to a comfortable seat. Let's just take a moment to stretch out the neck before we end the stretch today. So extend your arms out to the sides, lock the elbows. Drop the head to the left, feel that stretch just for a moment. And then roll the head to the right and hold it there just for a moment. And now slowly find some neck rolls, nice and slow, feeling through every bit of the neck and even into the front of the shoulder. Take one more roll over to the right and then bring your head in center to the center. If possible, give this a try. Don't worry if it doesn't work. You may think, what am I doing, a penguin? Yeah, kind of. So take your fingertips, point them up towards your armpits, place them on your rib cage, have your elbows facing out and drop your shoulders away from your ears. You should be able to feel a beautiful stretch through your fingertips, maybe all the way into your elbows, perhaps even up into your neck, depending on where your tension is. If this is not possible at all, take your fingertips, turn them so the thumbs are on the outside edges and draw them down to the ground. Just feel a little stretch through just the hands, and that's okay. Just give them a little TLC before we say goodbye to each other today. So in either of these poses, make sure there's no pain. Enjoy this moment. And then release your hands, give them a shake out. If you guys would like to, you can take a meditation. I'll put a little link to a Shavasana, which you are more than welcome to do if that's something you feel you would like to do today. I'll also put a link to a seated meditation that you can do after this class. If not, we'll end the class there, and I hope that you feel really good in your body, a little looser, a little better after a workout, or perhaps just having sat all day. This will make you feel really good. So until our next class, I'm sending you all lots of love and light. Don't forget to subscribe, like and comment. All those little actions are so helpful for me. Thank you. Until next time, namaste.